Welcome to Coach's Roundtable. I'm Ed Codi. Welcome our guest, the sixth winningest coach all-time Division I men's basketball with 900 career victories. Welcome West Virginia University head basketball coach, Bob Huggins. Coach, when you hear that and you're entering your 40th year, what goes through your mind?
I'm old.
Well, you started when you were 28, a young career, 40 years in the business. No one lasts that long, Coach, without having the success that you've had at various schools in West Virginia.
Well, I started before that. I was a GA here in 1977, 78, I believe it was. I got done playing in 77, and then Coach Gardner hired me as a grad assistant. And then I went to Ohio State for a couple, so.
Coach, when you look back over your 40 years, in your mind, how have you changed as a coach over these 40 years?
Well, hopefully I'm a little smarter, but not a lot. I haven't changed a lot. I haven't changed a lot of what we do. I mean, the majority of what we do comes from guys like my father and Ed McCluskey. And those are the guys that I kind of really grew up in coaching and learning. You know, I used to go over and pick up Coach McCluskey, and that was when he was really struggling to see. And it was amazing to me that he would come over, watch us practice at Walsh College, and we would sit and talk and go have dinner and then take him back to Farrell. And it was amazing what he knew about our team, or, you know, what he saw, even though he had a hard time seeing. And then, of course, you know, when I screwed things up and needed to fix things, I called my dad, and he gave me some pretty good advice as well.
And one thing in particular that sticks with you that you take from both your father and Eddie that you always adhered to?
Well, we still to this day run at least a variation of what Coach McCluskey ran at Farrell, and the stuff that my dad ran at his various coaching stops. So I learned a lot from those two guys, and I've really tried to kind of emulate what they did in their careers. I mean, their careers were so good that why wouldn't you try to emulate it?
Coach, you open up with Oakland out of Michigan, and then you played Pitt this Friday night. And bringing up Pitt and that great rivalry, this conjures up memories for me of the best basketball conference ever, the Big East. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it was a great conference. Unfortunately, I got in it a little late, but yeah, it was great. I mean, every game you're coaching against great coaches, and players are playing against great players. So I thought it was a great thing. I mean, it's a shame that as close as we are to Pittsburgh, that we don't have the rivalry that we once had, because it was a special rivalry. There's no doubt about it. And I mean, to the point, I think, you know, when Jamie and I get together at times, we talk about what a great rivalry it was.
Coach, let me ask you, why isn't West Virginia in the ACC? You're in the Big 12. I know you've talked about the traveling, how long it is, how difficult it is, and even tiring at times. Well, is there a particular reason why the Mountaineers aren't in the ACC? You got so many natural rivalries.
Well, I think you'd have to ask the people in the ACC that question. I don't have a clue as to why we're not.
I know everyone I talk to, it's like West Virginia belongs there with the rivalries that you would have. Hopefully, with all the changes going on, and you brought up something last week a little bit controversial about you'd like to see March Madness dwindle down to a smaller tournament. And on top of that, I'm gonna ask you, do you think it's time for the power conferences, football and basketball, to break away from the NCAA and have their own conference and league?
Well, I think basically what I said was why don't the schools do that, and why don't they keep the money? Why do we generate all that money for the NCAA?
I think a lot of people agree with you on that.
Well, there's some talking heads that don't, but I don't pay any attention to them anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, I've said all along that eventually the Power Five conferences are going to move away, especially in football. I see that coming. I don't know why basketball wouldn't follow it.
Well, I don't know if we need to follow it. I think we need to make our own path. But I don't, the feedback you get is that what about the mid-major teams? Well, I think the mid-major teams would be excited about playing in their own tournament and playing for a national championship at that level. I mean, we played when I was at Walsh College. We played for the NAIA championship, and we couldn't have been any more excited. I think it's a situation where, the reality is those teams, generally speaking, come in and they're one and done. And, and occasionally guys will make a last second shot or whatever. And it's great news and great theater for a day. And then the next day you move on to, wow, so-and-so's playing so-and-so. What a great game that is. So, I think they'd get more attention. They certainly would make more money. I would think they could cut a pretty good contract with television.
And money is a driving force. You see the expansion coming for football playoffs. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Coach. Let me ask you, Coach, what has changed so much in the game that you've had to adjust to? I know the transfer portal has grown. It's becoming bigger and bigger. How does that change recruiting for you?
I'm not sure yet. We got a couple guys out of the portal, but I think it's hard. It's hard to translate. You can get the leading shot blocker, for instance, out of the portal that played at a lower level college basketball team, and they don't do the same thing at our level. And I think the thing that's changed a lot is officiating. The rules have changed. This is an entirely different game than it was when I played or when I first got into coaching basketball.
Coach, do you have to keep, once you recruit a class, do you have to keep recruiting them to keep them from entering into the transfer portal?
Well, I think it's more than the transfer portal. I think you try to recruit them to keep them. How many kids have you seen say they're going to go in the NBA draft and they put their name in a draft, they don't get drafted, and then they can't come back to school? And so then they end up banging around for a little bit and hopefully they make it to the G League, although what they've done with the G League, that'd be hard for them to do. So they end up going to some country in Europe and never be heard from again. So it's hard. It's hard because everybody thinks they're a pro. Everybody wants to be a pro. I think that's a big part of it. And then you got the transfer portal. And now with the NIL, I think that's going to make it even better. It's not supposed to be a recruiting tool, but who we kidding? It's going to end up being a recruiting tool for a lot of people.
Coach, you were 19-10 last year, 11-6 in the Big 12. You averaged 77 points a game in offense, and you've expressed your displeasure with your defense that gave up 72 points a game. What exactly was the problem for you last year defensively? What have you done to correct it coming into this season?
I've got an entirely different team. I don't look at that team and say we got to correct things for this team, because this team is a totally different team. We don't have Miles McBride running a point, and we don't have Derek Culver protecting the rim. It's kind of like everybody says, why don't you have Press Virginia again? Well, it's pretty simple. I don't have Javon Carter and Dexter Miles down there and Tariq Phillip down there harassing a guy with the ball. And I don't have Sagabak and Ante blocking shots at the back of the press. You know, I mean, that was the perfect storm to be able to press. And it's the same thing now. I mean, we've got to do what our personnel dictates that we do to be able to get the best out of them, to be able to put the best team we can put on the floor. And that changes from year to year.
Coach, I want to thank you for taking time to come on our show. 900 career victories. You're on your way to 1,000 and a Hall of Fame career that you've had. Good luck to you and the Mountaineers this season.
Well, I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
I'll be right back with George.
From high school sports to community events and beyond, you can find all of your favorite local shows on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
Hi, I'm Tricia from the Butler Buzz. You can watch my show or other local programming like Up for Adoption or Hunting Nostalgia, only on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
Check us out right now on Channel 100 or search Armstrong Neighborhood Channel on YouTube for playlists and much more. Spirit, town pride, community. This is the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
I am back, joined to my right by the Swami, George Abraham, to my left, the Tiger, Albert Campman. Interesting interview with West Virginia coach Bob Huggins, who was very praiseworthy of what he learned from Eddie McCluskey and his father, Charlie. I asked him a question, Coach, why isn't West Virginia in the ACC? He said, that's a good question for you to ask the ACC. What do you gain by what he said by that?
Well, he knows it's right.
There's a displeasure there in his part.
Yeah, you're traveling out to Texas Tech and
right.
Those places, yes.
Virginia and Virginia Tech both don't want him in.
Well, here's what I don't understand. Their facilities are as good as anyone's with their football stadium, their coliseum, and other facilities. I just don't understand why they don't want them in. It's a natural rivalry, and Pitt should be pushing for West Virginia to be in there, don't you think?
Well, we know that. Well, there's behind-the-scenes things that are being talked about through presidents and through ADs and through alumni. I mean, they don't want them in. They don't want West Virginia, and just that's simple.
No, absolutely.
It's a shame, and he mentioned they're playing Pitt in basketball on Friday, that this is a game that should be played all the time.
Yeah, everybody. They see. I think it was Jamie Moore that didn't want to play it. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, we don't know. He seemed to. He talks to Jamie all the time. They talk about the Big East, so I don't know that that's a situation.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think it has anything between them.
No, it wasn't them.
Yeah, it's not them. It's just
no.
That's the way it was.
Hey, when you're in leagues like those two are in, how many more tough games do you want out of league? Jeez.
Let's go to Spotlight. PIAA championships in our area did just great over the weekend. In boys soccer, 4A Seneca Valley senior Nathan Prex, 2 goals and an assist. He has 36 goals on his season. In a 3-1 win over Peters Township for the Raiders' second straight title, third in the last 4 years. Seneca Valley 18-0-1, headed to the PIAA playoffs, and Coach George Williams named Pennsylvania Coach of the Year. Hampton defeated West Allegheny 1-0 on Zach Panz's goal to win their first title since 2011. In girls soccer 3A, Mars 16-0-1 defeated Plum 2-1 on goals by Piper Caulfield and Ainsley Ray. They become the first 3A team to win 3 straight WPL titles. They also won 3 straight in 2A back in 2010, 2012, both streaks under Coach Blair Gerlach. Avonworth held off North Catholic 2-1 to deny the Trojanettes their 3rd straight title. In volleyball, NA 16-1 avenged their only loss of the year, defeating Shaler 3-2 to win their 3rd straight title and 4th in the last 5 years. Shaler jumped out to a 2-0 lead before North Allegheny rallied to beat them. Shaler 17-2, both losses to North Allegheny. Freeport defeated Hampton 3-1 to capture their 6th WPL title and first at 3A under Coach Tom Phillips. Freeport 16-1. What a program he's run there over the years.
A lot of wins.
And North Catholic 18-1 won its 3rd straight title in 4 years, or 3rd title in 4 years with a 3-1 win over Avonworth. Congratulations to Coach Amanda Fetter and her team. And PIAA Tennis Doubles Championship, Knox sophomore twins Emily and Lindsay Greb, they won the PIAA Class 2A Doubles Championship. The match lasted 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's the first PIAA gold medal for individual tournaments at Knox with all their success.
Yeah, what a family run they've had in tennis. Jeez.
And in cross country, Butler's C.J. Singleton, a senior, and sophomore Drew Griffith, they became the first cross country runners to finish first and second at the PIAA Cross Country Championships. The team championships, the NA boys and girls won the state title for the second straight year and third in the last 4 years, making NA the only school in PIAA history to have such a run. They just keep rolling out the championships down there, don't they?
They have bigger cross-country teams than people have track teams.
Yeah.
I told you there was a girl that time at Slippery Rock. They were talking about their high school experience, and the one girl said we went in a van or something cross country, and the other girl said we took 2 buses. I had to have been that.
Yeah, must have been. Hey, high school football passing, Logan Kusher of North Allegheny, 218 yards. Chris Hood of Newcastle, 178. And I'm impressed with the Canes after losing 63-6 to Aliquippa. They win their first playoff game in 5 years. That's the good news. The bad news, they go to Bell Vernon this week.
That was a good win.
That was a good win.
That was
coming off that loss. Bailey Crispin of Union AC Valley, 151 yards. Their first win is a jointure. You know, these two schools, they only had 14 or 15 players on a team. They've merged their 8-2 with a playoff game.
Is it a jointure or a co-op?
It's a co-op.
Okay.
Co-op football. I say jointure.
No, okay, no, I just wanted to know.
No. Rushing, Saul Laurie of Rochester, 156. Shane Jack of Freeport, 115. And receiving, Mike Wells of Newcastle, 6 for 145. Ryan Cooper of Union AC, 3 for 59. And Caden Rainey of Union AC, 6 for 62. Excuse me, 3 for 62. So the playoffs coming up this week, second round, WPIAL, Seneca Valley at Central Catholic, North Allegheny at Mount Lebanon, Butler up at McDowell for the District 10 title, and 5A Peters Township at Pine Richland, 4A Newcastle's at Bell Vernon, Hampton and TJ will hook up in a playoff game, and 3A Freeport at Elizabeth Forward, Keystone Oaks at North Catholic, Slippery Rock playing Hickory at Grove City. How good is Hickory, George?
Good. They beat them in the last play of the game the last time.
So the Rock 7-1.
They just beat Sharon. Yeah, it should be a
and
great
Hickory's
game.
Undefeated?
No, they have a loss.
They have a loss. And in 2A, New Brighton at Beaver Falls. Beaver Falls turned things around. They're 7-3 right now.
Just to tell you about Hickory, they were crushed by Ursuline.
Oh, were they? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Ursuline's always been. How long have they been good?
Not recently, but they are good again.
And Karn City will take on Central Clarion. Union AC Valley will take on Smethport. Interesting. We'll see what happens going into this round.
Well, now this round makes it. I like this round.
Yeah.
This is the round they should start the playoffs at.
Yeah.
Because that first round is
you had 13 teams with losing records.
Yes.
However, one team with a losing record pulled a major upset, knocking off undefeated Washington.
Yeah, that tells you Washington wasn't very good.
Yeah. Hey, our stories of the week. College football, Slippery Rock University 38, number 3, California 26. The Rock wins their 3rd straight PSAC West title and their 7th in the last 10 years. Quarterback Noah Grover has been on fire, over 900 yards passing in the last 2 games. He threw for 466, 4 TDs, 2 interceptions, and the receivers, Sin-Q Sweeting, 7 for 177 yards and a touchdown. Jermaine Wynn Jr., 10 for 169 and 2 touchdowns. Henry Litwin, 5 for 74 and a touchdown. Usually that's a good first half for Litwin, but so much talent there for them. Next up for the Rock and Coach Sean Lutz, they take on the PSAC championship game at Kutztown Saturday at 12 o'clock.
I'd like to talk to Coach Lutz. I can't wait. That's what I can't wait to talk to him. I want to find out why the quarterback changes made.
I talked to him yesterday.
What did he say?
Not much. Just they're playing real well right now. I didn't want to get too deep because I didn't want to say anything bad about the previous one or whatever.
Well, I'm not saying bad. It's interesting.
Game 9. Yeah, you don't
and a lot of coaches are reluctant to make.
Absolutely.
It didn't happen in lane 3. I'm thinking,
right.
And a lot of what did they see after 8 games? Thinking, I think we're going to make a change here.
You made a good point once when you said about the running. The old time quarterbacks did the running.
That's big for me.
Tabs watched it, and he said this guy looks like he belongs. Like a guy of Youngstown that came down.
Came from North Dakota State.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying to you is...
What? Game 9. I know.
I mean, that is a runaway epidemic in coaching.
Yeah.
George and I watch these college games.
What was he looking at for?
Why did they play that quarterback the first 4 games when this one's so much better?
Well, they were winning at first with the other quarterback, and then just the
So chemistry
stumbled there.
Chemistry
Stumbled there, and they made it. I don't know.
I
Was it
don't
because of more mobility with Grover?
I
What the
didn't get
reason was?
specific because I didn't want to downgrade the previous
Oh no,
one.
Right.
You can't have to because Kessler's outstanding.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just saying this kid has put a show on since he came in.
Yeah, it certainly has.
And it all came possible by one win Edinburgh beating Indiana.
Yes.
Yep. Hey, Pitt 54, Duke 29 after a slow start. Pitt trailed Duke 19-14 before going on a 23-0 run. 636 total yards for Pitt. Pickett 416 yards at 3 TDs. Duke put up nearly 400 yards of offense. And I got this weird, read this weird comment. Narduzzi said that they had problems in the first quarter. Maybe Duke was stealing signals because the Duke assistant was at Pitt for 3 years. I don't know if he's a grad student or what. And we had a change. And my question is, Coach, you didn't know this going in? Well, you're talking about this after, almost making it like it was an excuse for the slow start. Like you said after the Miami game, betting this team the next 3 weeks, they're going to win a lot of games.
He was going to go up in the booth.
Right.
Well, they're still have an outstanding season. I say it along.
No. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, somehow
I could do without the excuses.
He's done good. I mean, this has been an outstanding year. If you said 4 years ago, all right, Pitt's going to be playing for the ACC championship, a good chance to play for it. I think
as a league course, it's not so fast.
Oh, it might not happen.
Yeah,
it might not happen. But I'm telling you,
You know what? I watched BYU put 60 on Virginia. Don't think Pitt's not going to score on them.
Well, Pitt 7-2. They're now 25 AP. They take on North Carolina 5-4 Thursday night. North Carolina 58, Wake Forest 55. Defensive coordinators in that game, they should have given them a hot dog and a Pepsi and put them in the stands. And so Sam Howell and company comes. Can Pitt slow them down, or is it a matter Pitt first to hit 60?
I told Al, I think the over-under should have been 77. You said it's already 75.
It's
it has to be.
74-5.
Just by watching it doesn't take a lot of science to watch those two teams play.
I don't believe either defense can stop the other's offense.
Well, they probably would have to stop 3 times.
Yes.
Maybe hold them once with a field goal, and maybe twice. That's all.
Maybe tell the punter, just relax, sit over there and relax.
Oh, he can warm now. They won't need him.
Hey, here's an interesting side note. North Carolina offensive coordinator Phil Longo.
Yeah.
Where did he earn his Spurs? At the Rock.
Slippery Rock, right?
Yep. At the Rock.
George has told me that many times.
Yeah, I see him on the sideline all the time.
This guy's moved up the ladder.
He's probably one step from 7 figures.
Great job. Hey, for the second time this year, the Purdue Spoilermakers knock off an undefeated top 10 team. First, number 2, Iowa, and then Saturday, number 3, Michigan State. You know who they play this week? Ohio State.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you know what? They have a history. Obviously, even before us, Lenny Dawson. They beat the top. Their record against the top 5 is ridiculous.
Leroy Keys. I always remember Leroy Keys.
The top 2 teams for knocking off highly ranked teams 1 and 2, and so Purdue and Notre Dame.
They did it fair. They didn't add on and cheat the other team and all. I mean,
I don't know what you.
Absolutely.
Hey, let's go to
They're
this.
dangerous. Now that game's at Ohio State.
20-point line. I saw the line.
That's
it's at home. Hey, here's how I have the top 4. It's subjective. I'm being Georgia, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Alabama. I have Oregon 5th, Cincy 6th. Just look at Cincy. They've gotten by the last 2 weeks against Navy and Tulsa, 2 teams with combined records of 5 and 13. Here's my thinking. You guys tell me what you think about it. Go to an 18 playoff. Take the 5 power conference champions plus 3 at-large teams. And do away. Why you need a 12-team committee? It's so subjective. You take the highest-ranked at-large teams. If it's a group of 5, then one of them get in.
Yeah, I'd say take the group of 5. Then I would take the top.
Power 5. Power 5.
Yeah. Top 5.
Top
champions.
Whatever they're called.
Yeah, the other's a group of 5.
Yeah, and then the top team from the group of 5.
Absolutely.
And then you get 2
like Cincinnati or Coastal Carolina or whomever.
But my point is, you could win your conference championship and be out of the loop. Not being a playoff.
We've said this winners out. Yeah. They're not getting. If Pitt wins that, you think they're taking them with a loss to Western Michigan?
They're 5th. We've said this all 3 of us.
And I don't get 12. I don't get the numbers on 12.
You don't need.
What are the numbers? 4 buys?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, right.
I don't understand it either.
You need a committee of 12 to do this. It's
2 coaches are on that committee, too. It's a joke.
It is a joke.
conference.
Put us
champ.
three on it.
Win
We'll
your
have a
conference
straightened
champ.
out. We could do it. We'd have a
We
straightened out.
already straightened it. I said the same thing with the overtime rule.
We'd have a straightened out in a second.
Yeah, I know that one doesn't work.
Wasn't
That
it?
overtime.
Wasn't
No,
it?
absolutely.
It was a committee that turned a horse into a camel.
Absolutely.
All right, NFL should be changed to SFL, the Schizophrenic Football League, starting with the Steelers game. It reminded me of a favorite movie of mine. She wore a yellow ribbon. In this case, it was they threw a yellow ribbon time after time after time, but the Steelers prevail 29-27 on a Chris Boswell field goal with 26 seconds left. Guys, do the Bears have reason to complain about the officiating?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I watched the game. I don't think anybody watching the game is trying to figure out some of these calls what they made. I mean, I don't know where they came from, but I was happy. I know that. I had Pittsburgh as survivor.
Right. Well, the one on that block they called.
Yeah, that was a critical block. It nullified a touchdown. But he was also inside the tackle box, which was legitimate. And then I thought, we could talk about the Curtis Marsh, former Steeler linebacker with the Bears, what they called taunting. The flag didn't come till after he bumped the official. There was no flag. Seems kind of dubious to me. But I think the critical calls were 2 late hits on Justin Fields that were never called. One was very late.
One was very late.
I think he was on his knees and he got hit from behind.
He got hit.
So the Steelers win, but they still struggle in the second half. Denver, Seattle, now the Bears. Bears put up, 280 yards in the second half.
Yeah, I see it the other way. That they get great starts. If they didn't get the great starts, they wouldn't win. They're coming out of the gate really well and getting the lead. And because they are not any good. Let's understand, their offensive line can't block. Their secondary can't cover.
Hey, Ben took a beating.
And Ben's not near the quarterback he was. They're doing it with mirrors, I'm telling you.
Now, the opposite of them is Baltimore. If you look at Baltimore in the first half, you go, this team's terrible. You look at them in the second half, you go, this team's a Super Bowl team. They've been down by 20 points and won. They've been down twice by 14 points and have won. Lamar Jackson, 21 carries, 120 yards, 266 yards passing, almost 400 yards of total offense. He's a treat to watch. To me, he's emerged as the MVP.
Well, George has loved him when he was in college. George's on this one. He's dynamic. The thing I watch when I'm watching the games, we talked about on the way up, teams get leads on Baltimore or anywhere, and they snap the ball with 20 seconds on the clock.
Yeah.
Run the clock all the way down to 1 so Baltimore can't come back. But instead, they play faster, and Baltimore's back in the game. I don't understand.
I watched a guy the other day at Hawaii doing that. The guy from Pitt, he's out there snapping the ball with 14 seconds in tie game.
And who looked better? Cleveland. Odell Beckham Jr. gone. He threw to 8 different receivers. He looked like a better quarterback.
Not for long. The NFL will say to you every week on
it just changes so much. And then the upset, mind-boggling, a 16-point dog. Jacksonville beat Buffalo 9-6.
The score
Hard
is
to believe no field goals.
Yeah, that's
the score.
Yeah.
It's not so much the
Exactly.
loss.
The score of the game.
Fact Buffalo averaging 30-some points a game.
Held
the 2
Their offensive line is went in the pot. When you have offensive line, your quarterback looks lousy.
Hey, we've run out of time. We'll leave on one positive note. You'll like this. Danny Murtaugh on a ballot for the Baseball Hall of Fame. He deserves it.
Spit that tobacco, Danny.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.